You may be seated. Wow, I haven't cried the whole time until I got here. And then I realized that the gospel reading today was the exact message that God gave me 6 weeks ago from Luke chapter 5. And so when it says from Galilee and beyond all the way to Poland, but one of the scriptures that comes to mind as I was reading and what was going on in my heart, which I pray all of us will experience in more intentional and focused ways, and that is the Lamb is worthy. That we would understand how worthy he is. And so as I come to tell the story of Poland today, I asked Abba to lift up his son, because this is not my testimony. Our boast is in him. And we had the privilege, and I say we, because I didn't go without you. You went with me to Poland, and all of the things that happened there that were so powerful that I'm going to get to share this much with you today are also attributed to you. And I just want to thank this congregation and for your prayers and for your financial support any way that you prayed. God is doing a mighty work. And he loves Poland. And he loves the people of Poland. And that's what you're going to see today. That this message from the gospel actually ends up in Revelation chapter 5. Because God's not done quite yet. I think what John saw, all of heaven is still singing, even maybe to this moment. Because one day there is like 1,000 here, and time is endless. But anyway. So John saw, once the scroll of the book was opened, and the one who was worthy to open it ascended into heaven and seated at the right hand of the Father. He saw all of heaven sing a new song. And this is a song that they sang. Worthy are you to take the scroll, to open the seals, for you were slain, and by your blood, you ransomed people of God from every nation, tribe, from every tribe and language and people and nation. And you have made them a kingdom of priests to our God. And we shall reign on the earth with Yeshua. So as I start today, I'm going to sort of give you guys a little bit of an overview of what happened. It was very powerful. And I'm going to try to use PowerPoint, so that should be really interesting. Of course, all you have to do is go up and down. It's not like it's really hard, but I've never done it before. But I'm going to talk us through that, and then I'm going to give you the statistics of what actually happened on this team that you guys sent to Poland, and the work that God did there. Just so you know, these are our shirts. I wore this every day for 11 days. The first part is in Poland. It's life. It says life from the dead in Jesus. And the back part's in English and Hebrew. And the front part is it's in Polish and Hebrew. So as you can imagine, this T-shirt really stopped people. I mean, people are like, what? I had people coming up. Here, I'm going to do this. I had people coming up to me speaking in Hebrew. And Israelis and all, you speak Avrit? And I was like, well, not really, but I can speak some English. And then we had Polish people that were very curious about it. And so Avi's really good at designing T-shirts that really get people's attention, and tracks as well. Anyway, I'm just going to introduce you to the team. Let me see if I can do it. There it is. I did it. Hallelujah. Okay, so this is the whole team, and as you can see, where's my pointer? Oh, there it is. There I am. I'm the most important, really, right there, right? There I am. Here I am. But anyway, so here's the whole team. This is right before the consecration service, and this is, let me see. Yeah. I'm trying to see. So we had people there from all over the world. And so there were particularly 3 missions groups that joined us on that. And that was Operation Mobilization, which is one of the largest mission groups in the world. And they have a mission in Warsaw and in Poland. CMJ, which were Anglican, remember? So both your Messianic and your Anglican parts were over in Poland. So CMJ is the Anglican mission to the Jewish people. And they had 2 teams there. They had teams there from United Kingdom and from Israel. And they mainly did events. I'll talk about that in a minute. And then the CMJ teams weren't typically out on the streets. So not everybody represented here was a part of the street team. There were some that were stewards. They had stewards that do our laundry and put tracks together and organize and all kinds of stuff, people cooking, just to keep the campaign going, because we're out on the streets. Let's see, at least 4 sorties a day starting at 7:30 in the morning. Most of us did 3 at 2 hours at a time. So you're just out on the street, you come home, you kick your feet up, you have a meal, you go out, you come home, you go. So I didn't get home until 10 o'clock usually at night, because we were out on the streets at night talking to the people in Warsaw. There were 8 evangelistic teams that went out to 8 different sites in Warsaw at different times during the day. And I went there actually a little bit early with Greg Rosenberg, who was the leader of the evangelistic leadership. That would be me. And then where's Francois? Oh, and then Francois and I were roommates, and we were working with Greg to put the street teams together and to organize that. So we left 3 days in advance to hike around Warsaw to try to figure out where everybody's supposed to go. Greg is from Gateway Church with Greg Stone, and Francoise is, I believe she works with Jews for Jesus, and she's done a lot of campaigns, and she lives in Florida. Anyway, so that's the team. It was an amazing team. And typically, let me just give you a little bit. There's a couple of things that I wanted to show you guys. I'm winging it here. So typically what we did, the CMJ teams did things like, where's my stuff? Right here. We had events. So we didn't just do street evangelism, but we had events going on. So we had a Shabbat garden party that we invited the people in Warsaw to on the last Friday, and we probably had about 100 to 125 people there. People we just met on the street. We just passed out tracts and these little flyers right here and invited them to come, and they came. We hosted a dinner for them. We had music there. Jan he's a Polish-French Messianic believer, and he was leading music, and there's live worship. We did a Shabbat. There was a gospel message. There were people there that were unbelievers. I talked to Messianic Jews there and that were 3rd generation, which we were trying to find while we were there. So there were people there that were Jewish unbelievers, that were atheists that I talked to at the garden party. And so we just kept on evangelizing. So we had a Shabbat party, and then typically CMJ, they bought the Bible Comes to Life, which was a hit with everybody. And basically, it's like these people are like dressed up, and they're going out, and they had these events, and we invited them to come to the place where the event was held. And many people were interested in those kinds of things, so they talked to a lot of different people. And then CMJ also sponsored, you can look at these if you want. I'm trying to find the English part. They had an event where they had lectures where people came. So we were passing out these events as we went along. And so the name of the lecture itself was, Have you met the great Rabbi Jesus? And we had a lot of people come to that. So that started on the 28th. And so Richard Harvey and Aaron Imey from CMJ were there. And they just had talks on, was Jesus a Christian or a Jew? Jesus' mother, I heard this is really good. You can get it on YouTube. A nice Jewish girl named Miriam. And why do so many Polish people worship the God of Israel? So there were talks like that. And then what did what do Jewish people think about Jesus? So huge attendance. And then we had, on the 27th, we had a concert. They sponsored a concert for Holocaust survivors and for the righteous of Poland. And that was well attended. And a lot of people came to that and came to know the Lord. It was just an amazing thing. So the Israeli team, Daryl in particular, and CMJ were really responsible for a lot of those events, although they had one incredible evangelist, Tanya, from the UK, and she led many, many people to the Lord. She also had encounters with Israelis that were not very good. So she got attacked on the first day. So it's always really interesting to see that. And then we were mainly out on the streets. So let me just introduce you. Let me just bring it down one to slide number 2. Yay. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah. I wanted to share this. This was really, really, really powerful. This is probably one of the most powerful events that happened when we were there. So on the Sunday before the campaign started on Monday, Daryl Fenton and the people here were some of the Israelis and some of the team. We went to try to find where the CMJ, Christian Missions to the Jews mission, actually was before the war, because it was destroyed before the war. And then it was taken over by, I don't know who. Somebody stole their property. And so we went and we tried to find it. Well, here it is. Here's the building where the Jewish mission to the Jews in Warsaw was before the war. And just a little bit about CMJ. CMJ is 213 years old and has been ministering to our Jewish people for 213 years. So before the war happened, they had missions in all the major cities of Europe. And one of the most prosperous works was their work in Warsaw. So many people, they believe thousands of Messianic Jews actually died in Auschwitz because many Jewish people came to know the Lord right before the war in Warsaw, World War II, rather. And so here's the mission. So we went back there to find it, and it was just so amazing, just to see that. And then we just decided, well, we're just going to pray, because they're praying about starting a work in Warsaw again. And so the person standing next to me right here, this is Susan, and she's German. And so we started praying, and all of a sudden she got down on her knees and started repenting for the destruction that her people had done to the Jewish people. And she hadn't realized up to that point the destruction that they'd done to the Polish people. So she just got on her knees and she just started, repenting and weeping. And then the Israelis and I that were there, we stood and we forgave her. And so there was just an amazing released to the nations and over this work during that moment. It's probably one of the most precious moments I've ever seen. And I've seen it happen, but not on that scale. And so, we can continue, if you would, to pray for CMJ, because we started talking about reparations, because a lot of times when buildings are taken from you, you can get reparations, but it's a really difficult process to get reparations. And so the thought occurred to me, and I just shared it with Daryl. I was like, Daryl, what if you just called the people who own this building now and see if they'll give you office space for reparations so you can start your work here in this building again? So anyway, we'll see what happens with that. But that was a really, really amazing breakthrough that started right before the mission started the next day in earnest. Warsaw is a very beautiful city. It's a very clean city. It was completely destroyed during World War II because of the Polish uprising in 1944. So not a lot of the past is left in that city. Okay, this is a picture. I didn't. Hold on a second. I'm going to go there first. I did it out of order. This is a picture of the youth group. I was leading this team of amazing, legendary evangelists that I found out. I mean, everywhere these women go, they lead people to Jesus. I mean, it's just their lifestyle. And so this is Beata. Beata is German, and she lives a life as a missionary, and she leaves her country. She goes someplace, she goes home, washes her clothes, and then goes back out. And she's constantly leading people to Jesus. Sheffy ended up having COVID. She's from San Diego. Didn't get to go out, except for maybe about 3 days, but she led 2 people to Jesus over at the mall area, Zloty Tarazzi. Paula Perry, legendary, amazing. I'll share some of the things that people that she led to the Lord. Same thing with her. I mean, these people are amazing. And she's from Nebraska. And then this is Chava, and she made Aliyah to Israel, I think about 14 years ago. So she's an Israeli, and we just had the best time going out. And we decided to call ourselves a youth group because they're older, and some of these guys have injuries, like Paula's knees don't work. and so we were always having to take the slow train, take the bus, to get where we're going. But we just had the most amazing time. Hava was involved in a horrible accident that ruined her whole, it's just awful. So she can't hardly walk. But these people get up 4 days, do 3 and 4 sorties a day, leading people to Jesus and passing out tracts. So there's the team that I was a part of. Let me go back. It's kind of weird doing this PowerPoint. It's like, so there's the youth group, and they were just amazing. And so we saw so many salvations. And so I'm gonna go there last, but. So I'm just a couple of stories that just came to mind, and if Abba brings some, I told him to bring his favorite ones that really blessed his heart. But these are the ones that come to mind concerning the youth group and some of the people that were saved. I think Paula led 2 or 3 Jewish people to Jesus, and she prayed for that. She had many encounters with Jewish people. I had 2 encounters, Israelis. Both of them were atheists. Aaron was not. He's Polish, but he was an atheist. Got to bless him and pray with them, and it was pretty cool. Paula's probably one of the most amazing stories that happened was we carried these big, heavy, you can see these packs. They weigh like 15 pounds because you've got these heavy tracts. You've got 400 tracts around your waist and, trying to hold them up. And so what happened was here we're at the bus stop. So we're going out in the afternoon to our sortie site. So we were taking the bus, and Paula started talking to this Ukrainian woman. I forget her name. But she started talking to this beautiful young woman I think her father was Russian and her mother was Ukrainian. And she was in Poland to go to school, and she had a son, and I think he was in Russia. That she had no idea what was going on. And I think this is, what was going on in the countries, because I think oftentimes the fathers what goes on in Eastern Europe, especially with Russia and Ukraine, is they're intermarried. So you've got Russians and Ukrainians together, and then the war has divided, these people. And so she's here going to school. Her mother's Ukrainian, her dad's Russian. They've got her son, and she has no idea where they are. She's lost complete contact with her family and all. And so I think this is a pretty common problem that goes on with the war that's going on there right now. Anyway, this beautiful young woman prayed to receive Jesus, and so she now knows Jesus. Another amazing thing was with Paula, and she sat down to straighten her track bag. And, because it was heavy, and she was, trying to straighten it out and get her tracks together. So she sat down, and she noticed that there was a young woman sitting there that had a tract in her hand. So she started talking to her and said, what do you think about that? And she goes, well, this is really interesting. So she started a conversation with this young woman and found out she was going to commit suicide that day. And she prayed to receive Jesus right on the spot. So it's pretty amazing. Another amazing thing that really blessed me was that Paula led a nun to Jesus. So she comes up and she starts having a conversation with her, and all of a sudden, she's like, so do you know where you're going to go after you die? And the nun's like, well, I really don't know where I'm going to go. She goes, well, do you want to know? And she goes, yeah, I want to know. So anyway, she led a nun to Jesus. And the culture there was really, really amazing. We were out, because I was with the youth group, we got to go out to a certain area all the time, which kept giving up people all over the place. And it was amazing. So the Polish people, the kids are really, really hungry there. And they're out all over the place. There's a huge goth culture there. A lot of kids dressed up in the goth drab, and I mean, not drab, but, clothing. But they're so open to the gospel. So with me, I was down with COVID for 5 days. I made the mistake of testing myself. And I had it really mild. But the first day back, that Monday, I was out at the sortie site, and I got to pray with Sophia. She's 16, and she came up, and we just started having a conversation. And the kids are really, really, really open to the gospel because they're trying to find out who they are. They're still moving toward, who am I? What are we doing? They do not like the church. I mean, I don't think there was one positive response to the Catholic Church in Poland, not one. And so that was really, really amazing. And one of the one that really touched my heart was this amazing Satanist that I met. And his name is Sparrow. He changed his name, which means pirate, I think, what he told me. But anyway, he just came up and we just started having these conversations. Of course, he didn't look like a Satanist. He was only 16. And he was just a handsome young man. And so he kept finding me, so I kept sharing the gospel. And then the next day, hey, how are you? We started hugging. Then we were like, and then the last night he came up, when we were leaving for the last time to the trains, and he just came up and we gave him a big hug and shared the gospel with him again. But my guess is that he's really hungry. And so one day he's going to remember having a conversation with me and with us. And so, I mean, I just loved him. I said, man, Sparrow, I just love you so much, and it was just exciting to be there. So lots and lots and lots of stories like that happened while we were there. And with the youth group that I can't even remember half of everything that happened. It was just so powerful. So anyway, again, I just want to say that God just outdid himself. It was just really, really amazing time. He loves Poland. And he said before I left that he was going to make, I'm not sure if it was the team or me or us or I don't know who it was, but this, I knew because the Lord gave me the scripture before Warsaw that it had to do with obviously the campaign. But anyway, he just confirmed it again in the scriptures today. So we're fishers of men. And God wants to take that and move us further into his heart for the nations and for our nation and for the people. And you know what? I'm just sitting here thinking, I don't know how it is that these legendary evangelists wake up every day and have this lifestyle of just loving people like that. I mean, it's just amazing. I mean, it's like they can't not love people like that. And just share the gospel, and to withhold the gospel is just, and I don't know. When you come back off of a mission trip, it's really hard when you land on the ground. It's like Suzanne asked me that, and I hadn't really thought about it, but you really get a perspective of who we are and what we do and what is our focus, what is our heart. So anyway, just continue to pray for that. So in light of that, I just want to share with you the statistics. Let me just go there. All right. I did it. Okay, so this is from Avi, because everybody was like, he was giving us reports every day of all the people that got saved and all that kind of stuff. And we're like, can we just get a final report? So this is the final report. And I just want to share this with you. And Avi writes, by God's grace, we handed out 157,927 gospel tracts. So don't think of it as a piece of paper. I mean, you can come and look at it right here. I've got these gospel tracts, but those are literal people that you handed the gospel to within a 2-week period. So 157,927 gospel tracts. We spoke to 389 Jewish people. 389 and 30 and gathered 30 unsaved Jewish contacts and 19 Messianic Jewish contacts. And we prayed with 3 Jewish people to receive the Lord. Also, we spoke with 3,834 non-Jewish people. We gathered 152 unsaved Gentile contacts and 96 Gentile believer contacts. And we prayed with 83 non-Jewish people to receive Jesus. So can we just thank the Lord? I mean, is that amazing or what? I mean, here's this little team, going out to love people. And look what God did. Is that not amazing? So I just leave that with you. And if you have any questions, I'm willing to take those right now, if you have any. If not, that's fine too. That's exactly right. And it's like, the influence of this is like, whoosh, it just keeps going. So the reason why that we keep statistics is because all of that information goes to churches, to build up and to, but anyway, go ahead.
Rebecca, how was the reception of Jewish people to your ministry?
It was really, some of it is negative. It just depends on who you are. Like I mentioned earlier, Tanya, they were really not very nice to her. Anyway, I'm not going to go there. Anyway, we just blessed that. That was on the first day. But most of them were very receptive. Like the atheist, it's really easy to get a breakthrough with an atheist. So you just kind of it's like, you just start talking to them. It's like, well, can I bless you in that place? So they're it depends, it just depends on where they're at.
Second question. You showed a building, and it was difficult for me to understand that building, which was apparently built prior to World War II, and was it some type of a mission to Jews prior to the war, and it still exists today in a different capacity?
This building used to be the mission of Christian mission to the Jews and their work in Warsaw. And so it was torn down and it was given to whoever owns the land now. And so that building doesn't belong to them, but they're praying about starting a work there and trying to get reparations for that building because it was not legal. It doesn't actually legally belong to the current owner. Yeah. They give you your money back and compensate. So that's problematic from all over Europe because of the destruction that happened.
What you said that the Polish people had a complaint or criticism, no positive response to the Catholic Church, and I'm wondering what was the biggest complaint or the most common complaint or criticism of the Catholic Church then?
They just didn't believe in the God that the Catholic Church, but typically the young ones, I'm not sure the older ones, but they never encountered Jesus in that place. And so when we started talking about Jesus and encountering him and having a relationship with him, that was all new to them. But they were very hungry to know that. And they were never taught those kinds of things. Yeah.
I guess this isn't as much a question as it is a confirmation. But when you said that we're fishers of men, and you were talking about the relationship, like why don't the young people want him? He says, follow me, and I will make you fishers of men. And I'm hearing this all over from other people in my lives outside of New Jerusalem. They're getting that same word. And so we have to follow him. He will make us fishers of men.
How did God work in your heart?
that's still open. I think even today I'm experiencing that. Just knowing that Jesus is worthy and how worthy. So he's just started working on my heart today. So thank you for that question. So there's more to come because we're talking about going to Rome and Athens. Avi wants to bring the gospel, the Messianic Jewish gospel, back to Rome. And they're talking about doing a mission to Krakow. Next year it'll be smaller. But anyway, there's more work to be done. So, and we're going to be invited to that. So, and so are you. Any other thoughts or questions? You guys are amazing. God is amazing. And I had the privilege of getting to go, but wow. More, Lord, of that to the glory of Yeshua. Amen.